Hello there BookTube, my name is Daniel, welcome back to my channel Guilty Feet. I have no rhythm but I can whistle an arpeggio. Thank you very much. Today I'm going to do the books and life tag, which was originated by Steve Donoghue because he is an endlessly nosy human being. Question 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being an old person and 10 being the late Harold Bloom, how much are books and reading a part of your life? 6.5 to 7. I like books, I like reading, I like buying books, I like reading about reading, I like talking about books. I have a full-time job that isn't about books. I have a wife who doesn't read as much as me. I have kids who I'm trying to persuade to read books, but I inevitably have to talk to them about other things occasionally. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, yeah. Where does your personal library stand right now in relation to the rest of your life? Do you have more books now than you ever had, or fewer? How has your library changed? I have more books now than I've ever had because I don't divest myself of books. So for the most part, I have every book that I've ever owned. Of course, things occasionally go. Books have been lent to people and never come back. Books have been lost. Some books from my childhood were given away before I got the idea of keeping everything. But for the most part, I now try and keep everything, and I've been doing that for since I married 28 years. So since I had my first home away from my parents, I've tried to keep everything that I've read. So yeah, it gets bigger and bigger. And you know, I'm very grateful to have a wife who's mostly okay with that. I probably up until 6-7 years ago, I was reading maybe 40 to 50 books a year, and that's it sort of galloped beyond that in the last 6-7 years, and I've started paying closer attention, and I started keeping a list on Goodreads of things that I read, and now I do between 100 and 120 books a year. So it's expanding at a rapid rate, but that's okay. You know, I've got maybe 20-25 years if I'm lucky left. So that's you know, I guess if I'm at about 2,500-3,000 books now, it may be double that before I go, which is a problem in terms of space, but we'll just make more space, I guess. Take a mental step back and ask yourself, what is the most likely first bookish impression a newcomer would have in your home? Well, I actually did it. I took video of me coming in the front door and what you see when you come in the front door, and I will play it now. And that's what my house looks like. This is we have a long living room, and all this wall from one end of the living room to the other is the bookshelves that we put in. There are more shelves in the spare room which used to belong to my older son before he got married, and we may, you know, so there are leftover bully bookcase that used to sit out here is in there, and I have my comic books there and the graphic novels, because graphic novels don't fit on these shelves. These shelves are exactly the height of a standard hardback book, and you'd be surprised to know that a hardback book is pretty standard, UK and US. I have bigger books, and they all have to sit in the spare room. Everything else here is alphabeticized. That's fiction and non-fiction all mixed together. You know, just by author name. So question 4: how often, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? Not often. I mean, I don't reorganize them because they're alphabetical by author. So occasionally I have to shift things along. If my A's are too full, I'm going to have to go down to the M's and make space and do things. There are some double stacks. So for example, if I've got 30 books by Lawrence Block over 2 or 3 different series, then I may only have like one. Is some showing at the front, and there may be a whole bunch of the Bernie Roddenberry burglar books maybe at the back. I know they're there. I don't have the luxury of having everything facing out. So sometimes, so for James Elroy's another one where I've read 20 of his books, so some of them are in the back, and I know they're there. And there are a few authors like that, and I may have to increase that because I'm already running out of space. On average, how many books do you acquire in a given week? Well, I think it's slightly different because I live in Israel. I don't buy books every week. I tend to buy a lot of books when I know when I'm going to be visiting the UK or the States, or someone I know and feel comfortable asking for that favour will be coming here. So it's not an average number a week. Let's say I read 120 books a year, which means I probably buy 130 books a year, or whatever, 10% more than I read. But that tends to be concentrated in bursts around when I'm going to be visiting, or when someone's going to be visiting from one of those places. So it's not a regular thing. There are English language bookshops here in Israel. They tend to be more than I want to pay for books, and I tend to keep a fairly healthy TBR so that I don't have to buy I don't get desperate, I run out of books and have to buy something just in order to have something to read. So it's not a weekly thing, but it averages out over the year, I guess. What is that? 10 books a month on average. What song is your current earworm? Oh, I was going to prepare this and then I didn't, and I know what I was thinking. I'm working a lot recently on Dua Lipa's If You Don't Want to See Me Dancing With Somebody, for 180. I love that sort of retro disco. She calls her album Future Nostalgia, and I love that sort of retro disco stuff. I listening to. I grew up in the 70s, but really my era of music is the 80s. Frank Goes to Hollywood, 84. That's me. I came up with the Smiths and Wham, and that's my era. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of disco, a lot of 70s, which obviously I heard because I was alive in the 70s, but it wasn't. I was too young really to be into it. I've been listening to a lot of Chic recently, and that's kind of in my head. So before Dua Lipa sort of stole my brain, we were listening to a lot of Lizzo. Feeling good as hell. That is an earworm, right? Because I can't actually sing the song. I can just do the actions and hear my daughter sing it. Okay. What percentage of your self-control? Question 7. What percentage of your self-control? I clearly have shown no self-control in my earworm question. Do you retain in a well-stocked bookshop? I usually go in with a plan. If I'm going to a bookshop, I have a list of things that I'm going to look for, because bookshops, a well-stocked bookshop is like endless amount of stuff you could look at. So there are areas that I'll pick and look at. So I'll look at the new paperback fiction, because I like to see what's, things that have come out that are now out in paperback, and that's interesting to me. I'll flick through. I love looking at the recommendations of the people in the shop. I like reading those little cards that they post and seeing the kind of books they recommend. I'll check out the graphic novel section. I'll check out the plays to see if there's something there I haven't seen before. And I look for things that I haven't seen before. Like so I was in Foyles a few weeks ago, and it's just to start at the A's and go all the way through in the fiction section by author is just too much. So I have to be able to focus and look at things. I'll often look at the thrillers and mystery section. But do I have self-control? Yeah. Of course, in a world where I had no boundaries, I just take one of everything, take it home with me, Elton John style. And but I limit myself, and I have to limit myself, and I try to be sensible about what I'm likely to ever get round to reading. So yeah, I don't have a problem with self-control, I guess. But at the same time, I buy more books than I need, and I don't consider that a self-control issue. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Do you ever feel the need to take a break from books? If so, what form does it take? That sounds like you want to find books oppressive. I don't. I do other stuff as well. I've just watched the first season of Bosch, and that was okay. And I watch movies occasionally, and do lots of other stuff and other YouTube stuff. But I like books, and so yeah, I don't feel the need to take a break from them necessarily, but I do other stuff as well. I don't only sit and read books all day. Though sometimes I wish I did, but I have other stuff to do. When you meet a new person, how long does it take you to bring up books? I don't think I would. If I was meeting someone, like if I was out looking to meet people, then one of the things I'm most interested in is, what are you reading? But if I'm just sort of making conversation, I'm not sort of going to drill down and interrogate people about their reading habits. So I don't necessarily bring it up. Have you given any thought, made any provisions for your personal library after you croak? I made it very clear to my children that this collection is my meshagas and my burden to carry, and they have no responsibility to it whatsoever. And the day after I'm gone, they can take the whole stuff down to the curb and leave it there for all I care. I think they could do better if they managed to sell some of it, but that's up to them, and a bit pain in the arse. I mean, the number of things here that are worth anything is small. Some of my comics, I have some comics which are maybe worth $100 here and there, like more than I paid for them, because they've just become collectible over time. But books wise, I don't think there's anything here of any great value. There's no sort of first editions. There's some. I think it would cost money to replace the whole collection tomorrow. Like if the place burnt down or flooded, this would be an expensive thing to replace. But I wouldn't bother. They're just books. Let it go. I love being surrounded. This is my thing. I don't expect to foist this on anybody else. Let them have their own collections and do their own thing. Would I love it if my kids wanted to inherit all my books and fought over which, who was getting the Jane Austens and who was getting the Thomas Hardys? Yes, of course, I would love that. But if you love something, set it free, and my kids should be able to discover their own things, and they are free to, and whatever. This is all me. 11. Are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books? Yes, no, I don't know. Yes, I guess I'm known as a bookish person, but I have other friends who read, and I sometimes feel like I have some friends probably read more than me, but I think I make more of a big deal about my books, and so I feel sometimes unfair. I think there are probably people who are more bookish than I am, better read than I am, smarter than I am, but they just don't have this thing. They'll buy books or they read on Kindle, and they just don't have this going on, which makes it look like I'm all about the books. Also, I started as an exercise for myself again 6 or 7 years ago. When I started on Goodreads, I decided I would write a review every time I finished a book and I write it on Goodreads. And I can't do like a blog and 1,400 words. It tends to be 2-3 paragraphs tops, and I put that on Goodreads, and then this is all ego. Then I cross-post that to Facebook, so that all my Facebook friends, if you look on my Facebook feed, it's just book after book after book after book, because that's occasionally I'll post a picture of my out for dinner with my mum, but it's a lot of me reviewing books, and it looks like I'm non-stop reading books all the time and so bookish and Daniel. So I imagine there's a whole bunch of people that I'm peripherally attached to, connected to, people I've known over the years who I've friended on Facebook. And my Facebook friends are usually people I've met in real life. I think 95% of them are people I actually had something to do with at some point. But some of them are people I've worked with, and some of the people I knew when I was 15, I went to camp with. And I'm guessing those people, what they see of me mostly is me writing mini book reviews. So they probably think I'm sort of have an unhealthy relationship with books, or just or trying to let everyone know, always pushing my book reviews on people and forcing them to have to put up with what I read. So I imagine if you asked a representative group of people who are friends with me on Facebook, they would probably say something about books, which they say, as there's the reason they call it fake book, because it's not a real reflection of who we are. But yeah, I like books. I'm not. There's no shame, no guilt. My guilty feat is perhaps collecting them all, but it's not a guilty feat reading books. Lots of people do it, and I'm one of them. I don't know if that was as interesting as perhaps Steve hoped, but that's my books and life tag. Thank you. Bye.